Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Real People, Real Estate, where I sit down right here with real people doing awesome things in Western Massachusetts. Our goal is to talk about the successes, maybe even the challenges, but the opportunities that are here in our backyard. And today I am with an awesome guest and friend, Nick Stoddard. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Good. And so Nick is with Comparion Insurance, and you've been in insurance for how many
17 years now.
17 years.
Yep.
And I always say on this episode, it's so weird because we're 29 still, so I don't know how.
I know, we got into it really young. We did.
Super young. And so just quick bio.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like we kind of have a similar almost living local here in the area. You grew up in Hatfield?
Grew up in Hatfield.
Okay.
Yep.
And then went to UMass?
UMass Amherst, yep.
And you were in the business school?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I was not, so that's a little different, but still UMass.
Yep.
You have an awesome family, great kid, couple of dogs, and you're a rock star in the insurance world, like top 1%.
Being too kind.
Crushing it.
Appreciate
Well,
that.
it's true. So yeah, I would just love to know, first of all, why insurance? I mean, how did you just wake up one day and think I'm going to be an insurance agent?
No, we got into our professions very different. So I don't actually have anyone directly in my family that was in insurance before me. So I kind of fell into this.
Okay.
I went to UMass Amherst,
graduated
in 2009.
Okay.
And of course, after the crash in 2008, the job market was pretty bleak.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of my friends who were accounting, finance, operations managers, weren't a ton of opportunities.
Yeah.
But I went to a job fair at the Mullen Center at
Cool.
UMass.
Okay.
There must have been 40 employers there.
Wow.
And I would say 80 or 90% of them were recruiting for sales jobs only.
Yeah.
So I'm in this bubble and I'm going around and everybody's trying to tell you why they're like, the next best thing.
Come on into the terrible economy and make commission. Let's do it, sales kids. Yeah.
And then of course I see the small table for Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Yep.
And I recognize the name, recognize the commercials.
Yeah.
And the gentleman that was at that table absolutely sold me on it. I feel like a good salesperson loves to be sold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But he calls me over. He's like, we do insurance. Like, you want to put your name on the list?
Yeah.
We're probably going to hire, 5 people only from campus.
Wow.
He's like, you start off, you're making very good money. There's a lot of opportunity to grow. You got all these fringe benefits and everything else, but no guarantees if you're interested. I remember leaving there, and the way that he played it up, I was like, oh, I want to be one of those 5. And they probably hired like 100 people that next day.
Yeah, but you sold it, like you said.
But yeah, so they hired me, and they actually let me be an intern. That last semester of senior year.
Okay.
So I got an idea of who I'd be working with, what the work culture was like.
Oh, cool.
I got licensed. So as soon as I graduated, I got right into it
you
about
could
a
hit
week
the ground
later.
running. That's awesome. What
crazy.
location at that point were you working out of? Springfield or Northampton?
Yeah, it
there
was
were a couple
East Long Meadow.
Okay.
East Long Meadow, and then about 2 weeks after I graduated, they opened a new office in Northampton.
Okay.
So that's where I relocated to.
Okay, so that was convenient.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then you were able to just dive right into it. And did you start, now when you go through your licensing as an insurance agent, what does that track look like?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And it's not that difficult so my wife and I always joke about, did you really need this college degree to get this job?
Yeah.
And of course not, but it got me that opportunity to get in front of those folks
and to learn how to study and think and talk to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you take a property and casualty exam at that point. At that time, it was a personal lines exam, and then I got my life license and just kind of got thrown right into it. But I think what helped is, growing up in the Valley, just having like a small network already built and my family and friends being here. It's one of those jobs that, once you're 2 years, 3 years into it, it just kind of starts to snowball as you build up your network and build up your client base and just been kind of running with it ever
exponentially.
since.
We've sat down and talked quite a bit about just sales tactics because, frankly, whether you're selling insurance or mortgages or, I don't know, a t-shirt, right? It's like there's a lot of the same processes and what would you say was the, I guess, biggest let's do this. When you think back to those beginning days, like now, what was it, 17, 18 years later?
17 years. Crazy.
If you could have told yourself something to just be able to like catapult differently, do you think you would have done anything differently in the beginning?
say yes to more opportunities.
Okay.
I think it's easy to, I've always felt like I've had like this imposter syndrome where it's like, you know, if you're asked to do something, it's just easier to kind of stay in your bubble.
Yeah.
And then, you know, not break that mold and just kind of stick to what you're used to.
Yeah.
And it's inevitably hard to grow that way.
Yeah,
so, I mean, even the opportunities like this.
I was going to say, what have you said yes to recently?
There's always that anxiety leading up to it, but then you leave a session like this and you're like, I'm so glad that I did it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, I love that. So like push the boundary a little bit.
Totally.
And then you just have to be careful you're not saying yes to a million things, right?
As the business starts to grow and you're saying yes too much, you can kind of spread yourself too thin. So you have to be careful. But saying more, giving more yeses to the right opportunities.
Yeah. So back to young Nick, right?
Yes.
So you're out of college, you decide to be an insurance agent.
Yes.
And then 17 years later, I mean, how have you grown and changed, and as far as your business structure, you know, talking about opportunities and saying yes or saying no, right? Finding that path. What is your team, what does your structure look like now?
Really tricky in the beginning because when you're first starting, you kind of feel like you can handle everything on your own, right? And you want to be as accessible as you can to your clients. So I'm giving them my cell phone. I'm telling them that they can call me at all hours and text me and so on and so forth. Well, once you're into this for 2, 3, 4 years and you've built that big client base, that becomes pretty overwhelming. So what happened is they afforded me the opportunity at work that once you got to a certain capacity, a certain sales level, you could bring a team member on. So I hired that first sales associate. They've helped me kind of retain that book and improve in other areas.
That's great.
Since then, I've grown my team to 3. So I have 3 people that work with me to help my clients and keep them happy and be available to them. So.
How do you figure out who those people should be?
That's tricky. Yeah, because I've been through quite a few folks over the years. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out because of different motivations, or maybe the personalities don't mesh, or maybe insurance isn't the right thing, or sales isn't the right thing for them. But what I've noticed is hiring people that you have a good relationship with. Most people can be taught, right? You can learn, you can get these study materials and pass your exams. Right? And if you're coachable and you have the right attitude, anyone can excel in this specific role. So I think that was the big thing, is I was always a little too quick to hire in my approach, because I thought the sooner I bring somebody on, the sooner I can take my business to the next level. But if you're not kind of dialing that back and making sure you're hiring the right person, it can kind of put things into a spin. So it took some time to really work that out. But now I've got 3 people on my team. One who's newer, but one that's been with me for 4 or 5 years. And another gentleman that's been with me for just over 2. And I mean, we mesh really well. My clients love them, and
that's awesome.
It's been fantastic.
That's great, because you have, with insurance, I mean, you're helping people with new policies, but you're also retaining and working all of your people who are already, you know, say a homeowner's insurance policy or a auto or whatever. And I'm sure there are a lot of questions that go along with.
So it's not only just prepping for that sale and helping that client with that policy, but then the service afterwards. So there's a lot of things, you know, you're checking a lot of different boxes. And again, you try not to spread yourself too thin. But you know, most people want to work with one person or one team and kind of have one place to go to if something's going on, and that's really how we appeal to our client base, because they rely on us. It's more Nick Stoddard versus the big company that I work for.
You are your own brand, essentially, which is why you're good at what you do.
I try.
What do you need to know when people are buying a house? What's the information that you ask for?
So we have kind of a qualifying sheet for it. So we need to know, of course, you know, what that tentative closing date looks like. We're going to ask all the different, you know, specs about the property now. If you're working with a great lender like yourself, right, you might supply to us a copy of the MLS report. So we have everything that we need to kind of run a quick background. But then we're going to be asking for qualifying discounts, which is why it's important to connect with someone after their inspection, when they have that information fresh in their mind, and specifically systems that have been updated in the last 20 years. That's like the big...
After the home inspection.
After the home inspection.
Because a lot of people have no idea what's going on. Honestly, I don't even know if I know about all the systems in my own house at this point, right?
Of course. Which is why when I'm connected to someone, typically it's before the inspection.
Yep.
I always text them and ask them, we want to find out when the roof, the heating, the electrical, the plumbing,
so
those
are
the main pieces going into it of when we want to find, because again, without that information, you're probably not getting the best rate.
You don't know how to insure the property.
Exactly. And you're kind of preparing yourself for what might need to be updated or maintained down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So somebody should have all that information, you know, ideally, or be prepared to get it at their home inspection. And then that way you can figure out the coverage that they need. And then now that's on the house itself, but then they're going to have their personal belongings coverage, that kind of stuff, maybe additional riders or whatever else that goes into it.
Everything's kind of built into it. So once we go through that, we call it a replacement cost estimator with the client. That's essentially going to tell us if their house burns down tomorrow, this is how much they're going to get to rebuild, right? And then part of that, you have coverage for your stuff, right? All of your contents. You have coverage for displacement expenses. So if you have a fire and you're displaced for 12 to 18 months while the insurance company rebuilds the house, right, where are you going to stay? Maybe temporarily in a hotel. Maybe they're going to find you a home of a comparable size for you to rent or lease till they get you back into it. So all of these things are included in a standard plan.
So it's important to have all that. Figure out what's the ideal time for someone to contact you. Like, is there a time that's too early or too late? I mean, what's the perfect?
There's never a too early. So as soon as they have that accepted offer, that's the right time to reach out to your agent. Probably not when it's 2 days before the closing and you're scrambling. Ideally no, but sometimes if it's a cash buyer, they will specifically wait till the last minute to secure a policy. But we can turn it around the same day. So it's not ideal, but it's definitely doable.
So what have you seen change in the last 17 years with insurance?
I think the big thing right now is inspections.
Okay.
So I think most people are trying to save money. Right?
Sure.
But not all policies are created equally. So you might be shopping around for your home insurance and you might find a $500 or $1,000 savings that looks attractive, but does that policy have all the same riders that your other plan has?
Sure.
And by riders, I mean, you know, service line coverage, water backup, is there scheduled jewelry that's on there? You know, so you want to make sure that that those things align. But second to that, once you set up a new policy, I would say 90% of the time that insurance company is going to come out and inspect your home. Right?
So different than the home inspection we were talking about before, this is actually an insurance inspection.
Exactly.
Got it.
And so what they're doing, and typically it's just an exterior inspection, so they're taking pictures of all 4 sides of the house. They want to make sure that the house meets the company's underwriting guidelines. The problem is some of these preferred carriers, they're pretty strict when it comes to their requirements for qualifying. So like certain things to point out that come to mind. Missing siding. Right? Peeling paint. Missing handrails. If you have a pool that isn't fenced in with a lock gate, that's a big no-no. If you have a trampoline that doesn't have the proper netting around it, right? One of those old school trampolines that we probably have in our backyards.
We've all flown off of.
Exactly, or into the pool, you know? That's an issue. And then the roof is a big one. So if you're shopping for insurance and the roof is over 20 years old, you're better off either keeping the insurance where it is, or if you're buying a house where the roof is over 20 years old, just being very upfront with your agent about that so that they can place you with the appropriate company that allows it. Because otherwise you might get a note from that carrier that says if this roof isn't replaced within 60 days, we want to be off the risk and need to find insurance elsewhere.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge expense.
And that could happen after they've already bought the house, you're saying.
So the insurance company has 60 days to get off of the risk. So they have to notify you and give you enough time to address these things. So there's basically 3 ways that it goes. They do the inspection, you don't hear anything.
You're good to go.
You're good to go.
Okay, that's what we want.
They find a couple of things. They go back, they say, we need you to fix ABC in 45, 60 days. Or we have to find you another policy elsewhere. Or the last and the worst, of course, is this just doesn't meet our guidelines. We need you to find insurance elsewhere. So be careful about making those changes. And again, if you're very upfront with your agent about the specific risk,
it's going to be set up correctly.
You shouldn't run into this. But sometimes you might save $500 or $1,000, and then it ends up costing you even more when you have to do these necessary repairs and everything else, which just can create some headaches.
Definitely. So order of operations, you do your own home inspection.
Yep.
You've got that information for your insurance agent.
Yep.
You can set up the policy how you need it to happen.
Exactly.
Policy goes through.
Yep.
About how long does the insurance company take to go out and inspect?
Typically, they'll inspect it within a week or two post-closing.
After the closing.
Yes, it's pretty quick because, like I said, they only have 60 days to make a determination on it.
Yep.
So they'll send that third-party vendor out to review it pretty quickly.
Yeah. What percentage would you say? I mean, it sounds like it's increased recently.
It really has.
Actually come back with repairs.
For me, I almost just set the expectation each time. There will likely be someone that comes out. Some companies will explicitly tell us we're coming out and doing it. Others won't. I mean, most of these companies, they'll show up, they'll knock on the door, they'll tell you where they're from, and they'll do their quick turnaround. It's rare that they have to do an interior inspection, unless maybe some of those systems are outdated. Or maybe they have like a wood stove or a pellet stove or, you know, another specific risk that needs to be reviewed. But typically it's just an exterior inspection. So exterior, be prepared for that. And then just make sure that it's okay, or there may be some repairs or whatever else that has to be done. Interesting. Good to know. Good to know. Any story that sticks out in your mind as far as either something that went crazy or maybe something that went really great? I would say 3 years into insurance, I got that first call from a client that had a total loss.
Oh, gosh.
So they had a fire at their home. It was in Wilbraham. And husband and wife, they had 3 young kids. And I don't know where I fell in line for the call. I was probably maybe the third or fourth call that they made. But what most insurance companies will do, they prioritize these total losses, is they'll have an adjuster send out like an initial payment so that client at least has something to work with, right? To find housing elsewhere, you know, pay for everything else, and then they'll kind of work with them from there to rebuild the house as is. But I just remember, I mean, I've fortunately never been in that situation. I've had my car stolen before, which is a whole different experience. I always chat about that afterwards. But I think once you experience that yourself, knowing that you have a good agent, a good policy, that things are going to be taken care of, even though it might take a year or 2 years. I mean, obviously, when it comes to contents, like there are certain things you just can't replace. Certain things you can't get back. But because it was my first total loss, I was much more involved with this specific process because I wanted to see how it went. And so she would keep me posted on this maybe every month or two just to let me know how things were going. And thankfully, the process went smooth. They had enough coverage to rebuild, made them whole. They had them set up. It was a similar size home, which was about 5 miles from their property, which is kind of unique because sometimes too, it just, you know, housing market, they kind of get upended and that puts
I would imagine now spiral. Probably it would be a different scenario.
Exactly, just because of what's available. But yeah, just knowing that, you know, I was working for a company at the time that set up a good plan and you know, my client was taken care of. That was super important.
That's super important. And then you have that experience too to be able to really explain to people, you know, because you don't want to think about what could go wrong, but frankly, that's why you have insurance and you want to have that good connection. So you own a home too, an awesome home, and bought that house, I think, really young, right? Can you remember back to that feeling?
I do. So I was 2 years into my role. Finally started to make a little bit of money. Saved up enough just to make that down payment. And I was in a networking group at the time, and I remember the realtor that was in my group, and she was helping me with the purchase. And I relied on her for everything. So she helped me get connected with the lender for the pre-approval. She helped me contact the inspection company and work with an inspector that was very thorough. She even connected me with the closing attorney to help me get to close. Right?
And I guess you already had an insurance agent.
I had the insurance already
you had that covered.
Already taken care of.
That's awesome.
But yeah, she connected all those dots. And what I remember about the process is they all lifted each other up through it, right? You're working with Liz, she's fantastic. I've worked with several clients that are in similar situations to yours. So they really gave me the confidence that I needed as a first-time home buyer. That I was making the right decision. And they got me to close. And then, you know, from there, I realized, like, that's the most important thing in what I'm doing now is partnerships and
building,
working with a team so that if you're referring that specific client that they're going to be taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. I know that just that communication and that trust, I think sometimes is almost underrated in a way, right? It's like you think sometimes that as a salesperson or a service provider, you've got to have all these bells and whistles. But when it comes down to it, it's like, are you kind, trustworthy? Do you answer your phone?
Exactly.
You know, do you say you're going to do, or do you do what you say you're going to do?
Yes.
And you do all of those things. So,
and are you likable? Do they like you?
Right, exactly. You know, you like you, trust you.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you're okay. So it's fine.
But she would even follow up with me after the closing. Hey, how are things going?
That's great.
You know, we went out to dinner afterwards. And also knowing that I had all the contacts I needed if I had a plumbing issue, if I had an electrical issue, like just kind of making sure that I had that support. Because once you buy a house, I mean, for most people, it takes at least 3 to 6 months to kind of beef that savings back up. So you're just praying that you're not going to have any major emergency.
I know, and it's the funniest things that you don't think about. I remember when I bought my first house, it was springtime, and for whatever reason, I was like, I'm going to go in my own driveway and wash my own car at my own house. You know, it was like this whole thing. I realized I did not have a hose. So I'm like, okay, new homeowner checklist. I got to go out and actually get a hose to be able to wash my car.
Of course.
But it's just those little things that, you know, you don't even think about. And I'm sure your real estate agent probably would have helped you out if, you know, you needed. Probably can figure out where to get a hose from.
This is embarrassing, but we closed in, it was like June or July. And then I remember in the winter, my realtor reached out. She's like, hey, remember to turn off your water. And just little things like that.
That's awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
And I'm sure if she didn't say anything, my parents would have.
Somebody would have. Great.
You know,
where's that network?
Just something like that. You know, it made all the difference and avoided a huge insurance claim. So
definitely.
Little tips like that help.
Totally unrelated question. I was reading your bio on your website as I was driving here thinking about talking with you.
Of course.
So it totally got everything, you know, insurance, you like golfing, you like going to restaurants, breweries. It says also you like playing DFS.
Yes.
What is DFS?
Oh my gosh. So it's daily fantasy sports.
Okay.
So this is more like the FanDuel DraftKings.
Okay.
And actually, what I will make a quick plug for this. I actually created like a little weekly tournament. And all of the realtors and the lenders that I know partake in that type of thing. We have a little contest on Sundays that we do for $10.
Cool.
It's super fun, keeps us all engaged, and
all right, I was like, what is this code? I'm Googling. I'm like, DFS. Is it some kind of gaming thing?
No.
Okay.
I like to dabble in the fantasy sports. And,
there we go.
Yeah.
You heard it here.
That's it.
That's awesome. I have some other rapid fire questions if you're ready for a couple more things before we wrap up.
Do it.
What's your favorite room in a house?
Oh, I can tell you my wife's is definitely the kitchen.
Okay.
We redid our living room. It's kind of a strange thing, but I feel like as an adult, when you redo your living room,
it's a huge deal. Absolutely.
And just like the new TV, the whole couch setup, the new lighting, everything else, I think that's my go-to.
Living room for you and kitchen for Nina.
For sure.
Awesome. And when you think back to like your first memory ever of homeownership, little young Nick, when did you realize like people actually own real estate?
It's funny, there's this picture, and it's like one of my old, I think, profile pictures from like maybe like 2012. And I remember just like cutting my lawn for the first time. and actually, truthfully, I haven't cut my own lawn in like 10 plus years. But I remember cutting it for the first time and just like feeling this like pride of like, oh yes, this is great. And I remember, it was either my wife or someone else took a picture of me, and it's like me like outside the front of the house, the rake, and like the grass is looking good.
Full on homeownership.
And just like, you know, I'm like puffing up my chest, and I'm
that's
just like,
awesome.
oh, this is a great feeling.
That's a good memory.
Right? So that was that I think is like number one, like just having a place you can call your own, and like knowing how hard you work to get there, and just being able to do like the small simple things that just make you feel good.
That's awesome. We're all gonna have to go and look for that picture
Absolutely.
now. Way back.
You'll have to find it.
Last question. Any local business, you may have one you want to plug, any local business that you want to talk about?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, I brought in today I brought in some pastries from Blue Door Gatherings in Holyoke.
Awesome.
That I feel like is like a hidden gem in Holyoke.
Yep.
We got turned on to them because they do a
lot of catering.
They do a lot of catering.
Yeah.
But then they have these like special dinners that they'll run. I don't know if it's maybe quarterly or what it is, but it's hard to get a ticket.
Okay.
And once you go, it's normally like a 5 or 6 course meal.
Wow.
And you're sitting with strangers, which is awesome.
Yeah,
right?
cool.
Just getting to know different people in the community.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they opened up this little shop where you can get a great lunch, you can get pastries, coffee, that sort of thing. So,
yeah, I actually only knew that there was catering, so that's good to know. Do you know what street it's on in Holyoke?
Ooh, I should know.
We'll look it up. We'll tag it.
I just put it into my GPS, but it's on the main strip in Holyoke.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Nick, for being here today.
Of course. Yeah.
Awesome to chat with you as always. And thanks everybody for tuning in to Real People Real Estate. If you were inspired and engaged by this episode and want to come on as a guest, let me know. I'd love to have you, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.